I see my dreams all die from where you're standing on your own. It's so quiet here and I feel so cold. This house no longer feels like home.
There are times when something happens so devastating that it causes one to step outside of themselves. And in that moment, everything that makes you a person seems to stall. The need to protect oneself from harm. The need to see the world around you. Even the need to breathe. For just a moment in time, the only thing you're aware of is that you exist. You feel your eyes blink. You can hear the air flowing through your lungs. But somehow in that moment, you have become one with all other atoms that make up the whole of that second. It's as if the situation is so bad that your very spirit needs a minute to regroup. I was experiencing one such moment right now. I sat down in a cold plastic chair, in shock. At least, I think I sat down. More like my legs gave away and refused to support my weight any longer. It's amazing how just a few simple words from another human being's mouth can throw your orderly world into complete chaos. My brain was trying to process several things at once. First, this doctor, with his uncaring eyes, had just told me that my grandmother, who was the only person on this planet that loved me, is dead. Second, his uncaring eyes. He spoke to me of the death of my strength, as if we were discussing the rise in the price of eggs at the supermarket. I clenched the chair on both sides of my legs until my knuckles turned white. Breathe. You have to breathe. If not, you're going to drop dead at this white man's feet. Would that be so bad? What do I have to live for now? We did all we can. These things happen with people her age. She's been moved to room 213, and whenever you feel up to it, you can go in and see her. The nurse will be around shortly to see if there's anything you need. And again, I'm sorry for your loss. He looked down at his phone that pinged in his hand, and amazingly, he flipped it open and began to talk before he turned and walked away. I put my trembling hand on my mouth, trying my best not to start yelling, because I know if I started, I wouldn't be able to stop. Why did we have to come to the county hospital? They looked at us poor people like we were the trash in their cans. Had he truly done all that he could for her? Or did he stand there and talk on his flip phone while she breathed the last air out of her body? Stop, Stormy. You know better. Only Yah can determine who lives and who dies. If it wasn't your Ima's time, then she would still be here. I knew that. My grandmother had instilled this wisdom in me. Yet my aching heart could not understand that right now. I wanted to find that doctor and beat him with the bat. I wanted to tear down this hospital with my bare hands. All my life I felt like I was invisible. Nobody ever saw me. I'm that spot on the wall that nobody pays attention to. That dust particle in the air that everybody knows is there, but care too little to even for a second consider. But not my Ima. She saw me. She cared for me. She loved me. Even when my own mother forgot me. Abba Yah, help me. Help your servant. Hey, sweetheart. I looked up into a Hebrew face. An older woman, maybe in her late 30s, early 40s, stood next to me holding a clipboard to her chest with her arm. But it was her eyes that caused the last restraint I held on my composure to break. She looked at me with compassion and sympathy, which was a green light for my tears to start. Somehow, her look made it real what the doctor said. She wouldn't look at me like this if it all had been just a joke. I began to gasp for breath. My heart felt like somebody was cutting it out with a dull knife. I couldn't see because my glasses were holding my tears captive. I felt like I was drowning. I heard her put the clipboard down on the bench next to me. And then I felt her wrap me in her arms. She smelled like hospital soap with a faint tone of apples. And her embrace was strong and sure. She wasn't hugging me just because she wanted to be nice to the young girl that had just lost her grandmother. It felt as if she was hugging me because she understood that I was lost. I had nowhere to go and no one to turn to. It's okay, sweetheart. She rubbed my back and began to slightly rock me. It's going to be okay, she said. But it wasn't okay. My life was over. I'm lost, I cried to the nurse. I'm drowning. I can't breathe. It was true. My chest was on fire, and each breath felt like it was going to be my last. I'm dying. I was in a full panic. Everything was crashing in on me. I could not see surviving past this moment. Shh, child. Calm down. Take a deep breath. She laid her hand on my back and was taking deep breaths to show me how. But I couldn't. They kept coming up shallow whiffs, each one more torturous than the last. Karen, I need your help over here. She's having a panic attack. A younger Hebrew nurse ran into the nurse's station and came out seconds later with a small cup and a little pill packet that she was working rapidly to open. Here, sweetheart, take this. It's a light sedative. It will help you calm down. You're having a panic attack, the older nurse said as she continued to rub my back. A what? I asked. Yeah, I am dying. The walls started closing in on me, and the room got real hot. Help me. I desperately clutched at the nurse's hand. The younger nurse quickly took the pills out of the wrapper before she forced two of them between my clenched lips. I choked as she poured the water down my throat, but thankfully the pills went down without killing me. I wanted to tell them I didn't want any of their drugs, but I couldn't get my thoughts together. I was still having a hard time breathing. Shh, now. Give the pills time to work. Everything is going to be all right. You can do this. You can get through this. I know it seems impossible, but God will provide, baby. Did she think that these pills were going to make everything all right? Nothing would ever be all right again without my Iman. I don't know how long the nurse held me as I sobbed, but eventually my lungs opened back up, and although the lump was still there in my throat, I was at least able to breathe again. I looked around and my face burned with embarrassment when I saw that I had drawn a small crowd of concerned faces. From nurses to patients. I took my glasses off and I wiped them as I held my head down. I hated being the center of attention. I preferred being invisible. You feeling a little better? Where is my grandmother? Can I see her? I whispered to the nurse. Sure you can. She's been moved to room 112. Is there anybody you want me to call? I shook my head. There was nobody. It's just me. It hurt to speak. The lump in my throat felt like a brick. What about your mother and father? Do you have any brothers or sisters? I shook my head. It's just me. I followed the nurse to the room, feeling numb. It wasn't that the medicine took away the pain. It just took away my ability to feel it. So I felt like I was standing outside of myself watching my tragedy unfold. Drug sorcery at its finest. The nurse spoke about procedures, but I barely heard her. I just nodded on cue and kept walking. Okay, baby, I'll take care of everything, she said when we reached the door. Thank you, I muttered, and I stepped through the door. I had no idea what she was taking care of. My first look at my grandmother caused my knees to give out, and I sat heavily in the chair next to her bed. They had arranged her to look as if she was just sleeping. I picked up her hand and, oh, yeah, it was still warm. Could they have made a mistake? Could my grandmother still be alive? Please, Father, let it be so. But before I could lay my head on her chest and listen for a heartbeat, the hand that I held grew cold. It was as if Yah waited to take her breath until I got here. My tears soon filled my glasses again. I laid my head on my grandmother's chest and sobbed with everything that I had in me. How I wished I could feel her hands rubbing in my hair, or feel her arms embracing me. My grandmother had not only been the only person in the world who loved me, well, outside my children at the center, she had literally been my only surviving kin. When I was 7, my mother dropped me off on her porch, rang the doorbell, and told me not to move before she turned and walked away. My Ima opened the door, and I could tell by the look on her face she already knew what my mother was doing. "That child of mine," was all she said as we both watched my mother's retreating back. She smiled down at me and took my hand, as if this was something she did every day. "We don't need her no ways," she said as she guided me into the home that smelled like sweet cornbread and greens. 5 years later, my mother's body had been found dead in a crack house on Lake in California. That night we found out about her death, my Ima stroked my head and sang Psalms 91 to me. "Come on, Bob. Let Ima show you how to make her famous potato fried chicken." And for the next couple of hours while we cooked, my grandmother told me stories of my mom when she was little, but only the good ones. And now, my Ima was gone. I graduated high school today. I was just looking out at my Ima's smiling face as I walked across the stage. I could tell she wasn't feeling her best. She had even woke up complaining that she had gas trapped in her chest. I told her that maybe she should lie back down and just rest. And miss my girl's graduation day? I don't think so. Honey, I'm going to chew up 3 or 4 of these Tums and I'll be just fine. I had believed her. I had been so wrapped up in my own excitement about graduation that I hadn't taken the time to study her, to see if she told me the truth. It wasn't until I was standing at the bus stop on our way downtown to celebrate that I noticed something was really off with her. "You know what, Ima? Let's just go back to the house and I can just cook us something to eat and you can rest up a bit." She shook her head and opened her mouth to probably tell me that she didn't want to ruin my day. But before she got the words out, she clutched her chest and doubled over. It seemed like time slowed down. She was falling, and I moved to catch her. She cried out to Yah as we both fell to the ground. Thankfully, one of the people that was waiting on the bus with us had a phone to call the ambulance. Never in a million years would I have thought that when I looked in my grandmother's eyes as we waited for that ambulance, that it would be my last time. I was all alone. I had no family. I had no friends. Well, except for my kids at the center that I work with. But outside of them and my grandmother, there was nobody. My Ima had kept me so sheltered that I knew very little about this world that suddenly seemed bigger than life, that I had just been tossed into. For a moment, I took comfort in the thought of me lying here with her in this small, dimly lit room forever, still protected from the realities of adulthood. And then I thought about the speech Ima would give me about clinging to the dead. So I stayed holding her cold hand until the nurse came and got me and told me it was time to go. Bye, Ima. I kissed the hand I was holding and turned to walk into the unknown. I was confused. I didn't understand why Abba Yah would do this to me. I have always been a good girl. I didn't smoke or drink or hang out with the fellas. After school, I went straight to the center and volunteered to work with the little ones that came there because most of them had mothers like mine. And I just wanted to help them like my grandmother helped me. I tried my very best not to break none of the laws of the Most High. I prayed every day. I wore my tassels, and I tried with all my might to be like the Messiah Yehoshua. What have I done to deserve this? Get yourself together, girl. When y'all start moving things around, you best hold on and pray for strength. But don't you be thinking about questioning the Most High. I heard my grandmother's words as if she was standing there telling them to me herself. They gave me strength to face my tomorrow, even if I didn't see a way to make it. The nurse asked me if I would be making funeral arrangements. What did I know about arranging a funeral? What should I do? I asked, a little ashamed that I was so slow. Well, do your grandmother have a lot of friends and family? I shook my head. Just me. Okay, honey, that's just fine. You need to go down to the Social Security office and see what all they cover. You could just have a burial for her and not worry about paying for a funeral. You still will have to contact the funeral home, though, so that they could come prepare the body. But if I were you, I wouldn't try to spend a lot of money on anything. I don't have any money. The nurse tilted her head slightly to the left. She looked at me as if I was a lost child. You don't know what to do you? She asked softly. I shook my head. Okay, I'm going to help you. But for now you need to go home and you need to get some rest. Try to figure out how you're going to live after this. How old are you? 18. You're too old for the state to get involved, which means you're going to have to take care of yourself. Do you have a job? I shook my head. Are you in school? I graduated from high school today, I whispered. What about college? College? I had planned to go to Harold Washington Community College. I already volunteered where I wanted to eventually work. The center was a small, forgotten, government-sponsored building in the heart of the hood. It was being ran by Imai Naomi, but she was getting old, and she said she was tired. Between her boarding house, her 2 grandchildren that she had custody of, one of which was really giving her the blues because he had decided he wanted to be a drug dealer, and the center, she had her hands full, and she wanted me to take over running it. I looked into it and found out I needed a bachelor's degree in early childhood development and social work. Nothing too fancy. So I was just going to take some classes at Harold Washington so that I could still be there with my grandmother. But now I didn't know. Yes, college. Are you planning on going? I was going to do something local, although I have been accepted into other schools that are out of state. You might want to consider one of those. You can stay on campus and it should be covered in your tuition. And now that you're all alone, you should be able to get financial aid very easily. I've been offered a full scholarship at Michigan State University for the Department of Human Development. Oh, you want to be a teacher? Close. I want to work with the children in the community. Oh, a social worker. I nodded my head. That's real good. God knows these kids need more people who care for them. She patted the back of my hand. I looked down to where our hands were on the counter. It's true that the children in my community need a lot of help. And for as long as I can remember, I wanted to do all that I was able to help them. But I had always thought that Imai was going to be there because I'm not strong. Sometimes working at the center got overwhelming. Sometimes the things the children in my community went through made me want to just lie out in the middle of the street and rage until the whole world came to stop from the force of my grief. It was always Imai who was there for me. She always knew what to say to keep me focused, to keep me going strong. And now she was gone, and there was no way I can do this on my own. Just pray on it, honey. The nurse patted my hand. I blinked up at her, wondering, had I said my thoughts out loud, or had she read my mind? Well, for now, we'll get your grandma buried. Then you can sit down and go over your options, okay? Okay. I wanted to cry again, because just like that, through this woman's kindness, I saw Yah. He had not fled me. He was still here with me. After I gave her my home number, I caught the bus home. It all felt so strange. The bus ride home, walking into the house my grandmother and I had shared for the last 11 years. It was strange being so quiet. I can still smell the lentil soup my grandmother and I had made yesterday. Slowly, I walked through the dark house, not bothering to turn on any lights. If I saw anything of my imams right now, I would die. Her slippers that I know were sitting on the side of her old lazy boy rocker, or her Bible that I know will be sitting on the kitchen table next to her sewing machine, her robe that will be hanging on her bedroom door as I pass to get to my room. I collapsed in my bed, and I decided right then and there that I would never leave it.